2024 season predictions. Let's get straight to it. And I'm going to start with the constructors, and we'll start from the bottom, and I think Haas will be last. It's hard to say otherwise. They've sort of said themselves, isn't it, that they will struggle, especially at the early parts of this season. And actually, if we go back, traditionally their in-season development hasn't been very good or strong at all. So it doesn't really bode well for the Haas team, and so sadly I see them starting last. Next up in the 9th position would be the Stake Sauber team. Again, I just don't feel, looking even at testing, of where their strengths really lie, and I think it'll be another difficult season for them. And will they have all the resources? They're in a bit of a transition, aren't they, with Audi coming in, or are they coming in? I mean, that's another thing that's in doubt at the moment, isn't there? So there's a lot going on at Sauber also. In 8th place, I've got the Williams team. Now, this has got tricky because I actually thought they might do better than they did last season, and I think 7th was a brilliant result, but I think the RB team, who they beat last time with the Visa Cash App or VCarb team or Alpha Tauri, last season really struggled, but this season, with them taking so many parts from Red Bull, I think they will have a much better season and will be much closer to the front than we might think. But 8th place, I think, would be a solid season for Williams. You know, can they get Logan Sargent picking up some points? Alex Albon, another crucial year almost, isn't it? Because this is the one where he could land that big deal at a big team, and there's a couple of big seats open, and his name has been touted around for some of them, haven't there? So I think even 8th, I think, would be a good season, because I think it's going to be really tight up there. In 7th place, I'm going for Alpine, and I think it will be another disappointing season for them in terms of probably where they wish to be. I just think the competition right up there is going to be really massively tight. And then in 6th place, I've got the RB team, and I think that's purely just down to the direction change of them going pretty much all in with Red Bull, taking as many parts of as they effectively can from them, and we know how good that Red Bull outfit and team has been, and so that's why I think they'll be much more improved this season, a full season for Daniel Ricciardo also. So yeah, I think that'll be my most improved team as well, actually, of the season. Next up, Aston Martin, and I think they'll finish in 5th place. They have been consistent, haven't they? I think they only lost their way a bit last season, and I think more teams will be a bit wary of them now, won't they? Because they've sort of shown what they're capable of, as they did at the end of last season, or at the beginning of last season. They lost away at the end of last season, didn't they? But they seem to be corrected their wrongs, and it'll be interesting to see how they start this season. Last year was a big surprise, and it was fantastic. This season, though, I'm not sure it'll be as big of a jump as we've seen last season to this season. It's now the 3rd season with the 3 regulations, so I think it'll be a really tight, close battle, between all of these teams going into this season. And actually, after testing it, even more so, with even just watching the 2 days, I really cannot wait for that. In 4th place, I've got McLaren. Now, this was a really difficult one, to be honest. They did fantastically well this last season. They ended well. They had some really strong moments. They've developed the car well in season. They've got now their own in-house aero wind tunnel, and so they're in a really strong, solid position, our McLaren. So really putting them 4th, I think, is a bit, I'm not sure about that one, but I'll put them 4th in my predictions. Let's see how that one works out. In 3rd place, I've gone for Mercedes, and yeah, I think it'll be still another difficult year, but it'll be tight between them and Ferrari. And also with McLaren, honestly speaking, I don't think it'll be one where we got last season, where it was still a battle for 2nd place in the championship up to the end. This season, I think it'll be a battle between sort of 2nd, 3rd and 4th almost to the end of the season, because I just see them, the 3 of them, and being really tight going into the end. And I've got Ferrari as runners-up in the Constructors' title, and I think purely because I think they've got a really strong driver package and lineup in Sainz and Charles Leclerc, and them two taking points of each other will probably prevent them from winning the Constructors. And yeah, that's a bit of a clue of who might gone for winning the title. But Red Bull I've got for winning the Constructors title. They were phenomenal last season. They've gone for a really big change for this season, haven't they, with their car? And will that work? Will that not work? Let's see. And come to the drivers. I've gone for Charles Leclerc to win the championship. Now that'll be absolutely phenomenal if he goes in as world champion. Lewis Hamilton joining the team, defending world champion, with an 8-time or 7-time world champion joining alongside him, will be absolutely phenomenal for Ferrari for next season. But I think they're just going to have the car right for them this season. They were really strong at the end of the season on race on single lap pace, and they've had the whole winter to try and get the race pace right, and I think they'll probably have that done. So really, I've gone for Charles Leclerc to win the championship. Second place, I've gone for Max Verstappen, and I think he'll just miss out on the title of this season. I think that's more down to the radical car that they've produced, and it's, where do you go from where they went from last year? Last year was pretty much perfection, wasn't it? And they've gone for a radical car this time. They've nicked bits and everyone's sort of gone, ooh, other teams haven't made it work. Can they make it work? Is that a bit too risky? And that's potentially why I've gone for where I've gone for. It might not be close at all, but there we are. That's the top two. And then for the runners-up is Lewis Hamilton. I've got to go in third place. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. It's his last season at Mercedes, and if things turn sour, it could go really horribly there, couldn't it? Because, they don't really want Lewis to be the main man, I suppose, going forward, because now he's leaving the team. And they will really be pushing for George Russell to kind of step up into the place. So if Hamilton can do that, it'll be, really, really interesting, to be honest with you. In fourth place, I'm going to have Carlos Sainz, and I think that's purely down to, I think he might lose a bit of his mojo in parts of the season, knowing he's leaving the team. So it'll be really interesting to see how he goes through the season, but I think fourth place would be a pretty solid result for Carlos. I mean, I know I've got Charles winning the title, so I think he'd be massively disappointed from his side if that was to happen, but I still think that would be, we'd go, can look at the calibre of drivers ahead of him, they're absolutely phenomenal. Fifth place, I've got George Russell finishing there, and then Perez in sixth, Lando, Norris in 7th. Now this one was hard because I think the McLaren will be actually a lot better than I've put them. Lando Norris, will he get his first win? I think he probably will this season, where he just missed out last season. I think they probably, or he might just clinch it. So, here's hoping he can get that first win over the line. But yeah, 7th, I'm not really sure. Should have put him there, but that's where I'm going to have it. Fernando Alonso, I've gone for 8th place. I think it'll be a difficult season this season as compared to last season. A lot of the other teams that really went wayward would be right on it from the start this season. And so I think that's why we'll see them down there. Yuki Tsunoda, I've got him to have a fantastic season in P9. He was brilliant last season. He was probably the most improved. One of the most improved that I thought anyway from last season. And he will really kick on this season, I think, and really claim his space, and potentially even that Red Bull seat with Sergio Perez is all up in the air, isn't it, at that stage. Pierre Gasly I've got in 10th place, and I think he'll beat his teammate Ocon. He had a brilliant season last season. For his first season, he'll be more settled in, and he'll be really right on it to battle with his teammate Ocon, won't he, from there. Piastri in 11th, and I think he'll have a solid season compared to last season. But the second season, we always find, even though you've had a great rookie season, there's always a lot more difficult, isn't it? Because you're kind of no longer a rookie. There's a bit more expectation from you, and sometimes you can fall short from that. And so I've got a bit of a difficult season prediction for Oscar Piastri, but you know, it's only predictions, don't shoot me guys. 12th place we've got Lance Stroll, and I think this should really be his last season if he finishes there and Alonso hammers him. You know, I think there's a lot of young good drivers on there that deserve that seat. But Papa Jones is paying for that seat, so he ain't going nowhere, is he? Alex Albon, I've got 13th place finish, and I think that'll be a really solid season from him in the Williams car. Unless Williams have produced some absolute magic machine, it could be way up there, but I still think that'll be a really good result from him, and that should help them, you know, fight for that 7th, 8th place in the constructors for Williams. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that one pans out there, wasn't it? Daniel Ricciardo, I've got as finishing 14th, and I think it'll be a poor season. I love Daniel Ricciardo actually, and to see him down there, I just don't think he'll be quite on it as he has been previously in his past. So yeah, I'm predicting a sort of a difficult season for Daniel Ricciardo and him to be beaten by his teammate Yuki. And if that happens, I think his shot at Red Bull is completely gone. And it's a big season for him, isn't it? Because this is kind of the only reason he went to AlphaTauri and Toro Rosso, let's be honest, is to have a shot at that Red Bull seat, to sort of dethrone Perez from that position. You know, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes off, and it does fall that way. It'll be, yeah, massively disappointing from Daniel Ricciardo, and the only way from there really is either down or out, isn't it, for him. Ocon, I've got him finished in 15th place, and I think that would be disappointing overall for him because he'll be beaten by his teammate by 4 or 5 places, and I don't think that's probably quite right because I think it'd be close between the pair of them, as we saw last season, but you know, with DNFs and things like that, we could have these massive swings. Bottas I've got finished in 16th. I just think it'll be a struggle for that skate team. They struggled last season. I think there's nothing really that they've done that stands out where I think, oh wow, they'll be big jumping up big this season, and it's really all about them getting ready for Audi in 2026. Zhou Guanzu, yeah, he's been just getting year by year contracts, isn't it? So another big one for him to sort of stake some claim and show some real promise and show why he really deserved that seat in F1. You know, every seat is precious, so there's young drivers coming up eager to get that spot. So, you know, he really kind of, for me, has to pull some magic out the hat. I just don't quite see it for him. I honestly, last season was decent from him, but there was just times where I thought, you know, has he quite got enough? He's not got really that wow factor for me in this. I've got Logan Sargent finishing 18th, or at least he won't be last, and I think he'll pick up some points this season, but I still think it'll be a difficult season for Logan Sargent now. He's got his feet under the table. I mean, to be fair with him, he's got really good amateur pedigree. I mean, he almost beat Oscar Piastri to the F3 Championship, didn't he? So he's, you know, not some slouch, you know what I mean? He should be really, really on it, but I'm predicting another difficult season for Logan Sargent, and if he ends up there and with Albon being a lot higher up than him, that could be him out and some young blood going through. We never know, do we? Because if Albon moves on, they might want some continuity with Sargent staying. Who knows? But that's where we are. And then for 19th place, I've got Nico Hülkenberg. He'll beat his teammate Kevin Magnussen. It'll be a horrible, difficult season for Haas. They've almost said that will be the case early on, so let's see how it pans out for the rest of the season. But yeah, that's the season predictions. Drivers, true world champion predicted for me, Charles Leclerc. I know some Ferrari fans will be massively happy with that. Max Verstappen second, Lewis Hamilton third, and the constructors still going to Red Bull, but Ferrari second, and then Mercedes third. Yeah, I feel confident with some of them. I'm not really so sure. With the middle packet, so difficult, because last season was absolutely phenomenal racing behind second place. We just got so many like second place winners, I suppose we can call them, wasn't it? Where it was one race weekend it was McLaren, one race weekend it was Aston Martin, then it was Mercedes in the mix, and it was just absolutely anybody's game for that position. And if it bunches up even more closer, which we generally get to see as the regulations tighter, the field tightens up, we could be in for a real battle. And if we can throw for some wins in there for Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, Red Bull not quite with it with this new radical design that they've picked. You know, it could be anybody's game, so it's a massively exciting season. Cannot wait. Bahrain Grand Prix is just around the corner. It's all action, all go, a long 24 race season this season, and it should be nothing short of fantastic in my view. I really cannot wait for that. But that's the predictions. Let's see how we got at the end of the season. But there we have it. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. I'll see you next time.